Hello, and welcome to another video once again. This time I'll be working with the S13. The Supra is already running. I've been driving it for 600 kilometers now, and it's working fine. It's working beautifully. And the S13 should be worked now to finalize it. I gotta still work on the lubrication system. The cooling system is pretty much done. I did many kind of controversial tricks to it. I don't know if I didn't explain it on any other video, but now I can show you something. Like, well, there's a natural route for the coolant to come to the heater core from the block, and I made this own system like this. It's a hose that comes directly clamped to the block, comes directly up and then goes to the heater core, and from the heater core it goes to an electric water pump, and from there it goes back to the thermostat housing back of it. And under the thermostat housing usually is a bypass. So under here is a bypass on this side of the intake manifold, and I plugged the intake manifold's upper place here. I plugged it, so I removed this bypass, and I moved the line to that bypass to come directly from the turbo. Usually the turbo line goes under the downpipe and behind the engine and comes this way back to the same lines as this one, because usually the line that goes from here goes under the intake manifold and squiddles over there like a spaghetti and comes directly here. So it's a much more natural route to use just a straight line like this, and a straight line goes naturally very nicely like this. And if you're wondering what this sleeve is, this is something that I know that not a lot of people use maybe, but I do sometimes. So this is for hydraulic lines. It's a nylon sleeve. It's a nylon sock actually, and it's very durable, very resistant for wear. And here I have a bigger one even, and this is the lower radiator hose, and I'm gonna cover this radiator hose with this because there are some components that will be slightly possibly rubbing against these hoses. So this sleeve will protect the hose itself from that rubbing, and I'll show you how I do it. So what I did there is that the sleeve naturally it touches very lightly this electric water pump, and it touches the alternator very lightly because this is not the original setup for this car. And I welded this thingy on the thermostat housing. This has a thermostat or a temperature sensor for the coolant, and it has two. I like to have at least two sensors for the coolant, and this one is actually for a system that activates the fans when the ECU is not on. I know it might sound ridiculous, it's not necessary at all to some people, but I like to have a system like this. So I have two ways to control the fan that cools or blows air through the radiator. One that is controlled by the ECU. When the car is running and it's warming up, it knows when the temperature rises enough to start the fan and when to close it and that kind of stuff. But then I have another system that is not connected to the ECU, but it's connected to the same relay circuit. So if if this system detects for some reason that the coolant is still too hot, it starts the fan without the car being on. And it also works if your power cuts out, if your ECU dies or something like that. So this is connected directly to the battery also. So your car might not overheat if you have a full throttle pull, let's say, on the track, and for some reason your car dies. This will still keep the fans on without the ECU being on. Then I replaced or rerouted my oil filter. So this is my oil filter location at the moment. I think it's a good place because it's such an easy place to replace the filter. It's gonna the charge pipe is gonna come here, and the throttle body is gonna be here, so this won't be in the way, and it's there nice and easy. I still gotta finish the mount, but it has a place now where I'm gonna mount it, and I'm still building the AN10 lines to it. You call it maybe -10 lines. I'm still building those because I have this oil filter, what do you call this, the replacing leg or thingy that I bought from Drift Shop. So it has also -10 lines out of it and into it. So I'm gonna run the oil lines directly naturally to the oil filter, and from there I'm gonna run them to a thermostat. I have a thermostat right here. So this one. This is a thermostat, and when it gets oil, it usually routes it just back directly to the engine and runs it like that. But once your engine oil gets hot enough, this thing opens. So this has a thermostat inside that moves like this. This thing opens, and then it starts to recirculate the engine oil while it's running through a cooler. And my oil cooler is over there at the moment, waiting to be installed. So this is the next thing that I need to do with the car. So now I have the bracket for the oil filter housing, and it's made from, if you know what this is, you know what it is, but it's zinced and it's very sturdy steel, so this suits me just fine for this purpose. It's not very pretty, but it does the job. And now that you saw that I was going through it with my hands like this, it's just something that I want to do to all the pieces to get the sharp corners off, because I promise you, when you leave a sharp corner to somewhere where you think it's not going to bother you at all, it's the place where you're going to cut yourself at least 5 times. So that's why I always remove all the sharp edges. And now, even though it's zinced, I know it's not going to rust. I'm still going to paint it black with stone chip, that thingy, just to make it a bit nicer looking. So that's next. Okay, so what I just did, what you see me doing was I routed the oil line from the engine block to the oil filter housing, and from the oil filter housing I routed it to the thermostat, which is now located here. So it might not look much, but this is a perfect location for the this thermostat. Now I need to route a route from there back to the engine block, and then I just need to figure out how I'm gonna connect the cooler to these lines. Okay, so few words about AN lines. Now, the first word is that people often say that when you've done the cut of this, like this is Teflon with a steel sock. This is stainless steel sock, and a Teflon head or tube inside. This suits all fuels, all oils, and is very durable. This is the best that money can buy from AN lines. Now, you insert the head over here, and the thing that goes on in between the Teflon line and the steel braiding is the aluminum bead. And people say that this head has to be absolutely straight, so that otherwise this connection will leak. Now, that's not true. So I know that in car world, with car enthusiasts especially, these kind of rumors go on eternally, and it's kind of a problem also that these rumors keep on living. But it's not a sealing surface. So this head here, this surface right here that my nail is touching, see this surface right here that the nail is touching, this is not the sealing surface. The sealing surface is inside here. That's where the AN comes, and the sealing only is made by the tightness of the bead on the Teflon housing, because the AN connection has a small tube in it that goes inside the Teflon. And like I said, this surface that points directly up right now, this is not a sealing surface. The sealing surface is the inner side. But it sure helps if this is completely as straight as possible, this head. But it doesn't have to be absolutely straight and absolutely perfect. The sealing surface is what's in here. Anyways, sometimes I've seen that the AN lines, they kind of crimp up. So when you push the AN head inside here, it kind of sticks to some corner of this tube, and it folds inside, and that makes it leaky. But if you have only a small leak, a very small and slow leak, then it might be a scratch or something. Now, another thing that I want to tell you, just if you know something about AN lines, then this is nothing new to you, but I just want to make sure that I also describe it. So when you make AN lines, it's always certain that you get debris and dust and every kind of filth inside these tubes when you're doing them. That's why it is very important that in this phase, before you even start the car or run any oil through them, you clean them. So I do the assembly, naturally, always, first. And then I clean them from the inside after that. I use chemicals, compressed air and so what, to get the most of the residue filth out of there. So this is just for fitting everything in place, to see that everything is in correct shape and length and that kind of stuff. Then I disassemble everything, clean everything, and then I can run the car. And with a system like this, you get AN lines to a new oil filter location and a new oil cooler even. You don't want to start the car immediately, because the oil pump has quite a lot of oil to pump through all of these new lines and the filter to get back to the block and start lubricating everything. So what you want to do is crank the car. So you don't give it any ignition or fuel at that time, you just crank it as long as it takes for the oil to reach the block. And usually when I'm an engineer for my profession, and usually when we deal with engines, a new engine, when it's cranked for the first time, it takes about healthy 15 seconds for the engine to get lubed up everywhere, if everything is okay, if the oil pickup works as it should be and nothing is so to say badly assembled. But 15 seconds, it's pretty much normal time that it takes for the oil to reach everywhere once you crank it and you get it running with around 1500 RPM for the first time. So 15 seconds is roughly the time that it takes for the oil to reach everywhere that it needs to be. But with an engine like this and a project like this, you might want to crank it for a good, healthy, what should I say, minute or two, so you can get the oil running everywhere. And then you give it the spark and the fuel so that it starts, and let it run hot, let it open the thermostat very well, fill it with new oil and that kind of stuff. Always remember to overfill your engine oil at this point when you have this new system, because naturally when I have old oil in the engine now, I have disassembled many things. I'm going to assemble new oil lines, new oil cooler and that kind of stuff. I'm going to run it with the old oil for just a while, and then I'm going to change the oil to some brand new. But anyway, that's the process when I'm making these AN lines and the oil filter relocation kit with the thermostat and oil cooler. But now I have everything in place, or everything ready, not in place, this is not connected to the thermostat at the moment, but everything is ready until the thermostat. So now I can start working on the thermostat bracket that keeps it slightly in place, and I can work on the cooler location, and then I can build the lines for it. The lines themselves are not very difficult to make once you just have the cooler in place. So that's next. Right, so I made the bracket, and it might not look beautiful, but it serves its purpose. And it's only held on by 2 bolts. So when you do a structure like this, it's going to be all wobbly unless you can place it firmly against something. And that's why there's a spliced tube over here on the bottom, because this is going to rest on the frame rail, and I measured it so that it fits very snugly from here to a 10mm bolt over there. So to this bolt over there, it's going to rest on this surface here, and then it's going to bolt to the bracket of the thermostat. And that's enough to keep the thermostat in place. I mean, this is very sturdy, and 1 bolt over here is going to be just enough to keep that in place. It could be placed with 2, but 1 is enough. Okay, it's mounted. So let's see. I'll try to bring some light over here. So now the thermostat is in place with the bracket. It's pretty sturdy. I mean, there's a very slight vibration that it can take, but it's very small. Now I cleaned all the AN lines very thoroughly. They are tightened, and I put these caps on the thermostat housing ends so that dirt or dust or anything won't get in the clean lines anymore. I've been checking everything under here. I know it looks like a mess at the moment, but it's under control kind of mess. Everything seems to be ready for the intake manifold to be put back on. So I'll just put some nylon socks still over the wiring, and then put the intake manifold back on, I guess. Alright, I noticed that my intake manifold gasket is actually pretty worn out. It's not usable anymore, so I have to order a new one. And these RB20 engine gaskets are not very easy to come by in Finland, so I have to order it and wait a few days so I can get it. So I think this wraps up the video. I'm not gonna do it any further now, but let's turn to the topic. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.